Good evening, dear colleagues. I'm really glad to see you here at our national all-Ukrainian internet conference for the teachers of English provided by our educational project Na Урок. And today we are going to speak with you about content integrating approach to teaching English. So first of all, probably a few words about myself. My name is Ганна Дудіч, and I'm a teacher of English and a vice principal at Taras Shevchenko Gymnasia in Kropivnitsky. I'm a Global Teacher Prize 2017 Top 50 finalist and a speaker at the Global Education and Skills Forum in 2018-2019, and an ambassador of a great number of different educational projects, international projects such as Barkey Teacher Ambassador, Penpal Schools Ambassador, Scientix Ambassador, 100 Ambassador, and being an ambassador of all these projects gives me a possibility to communicate with teachers from all over the world who are not only teachers of English, but who teach different subjects. And this kind of communication pushed me to the idea that it is really great to integrate English with other subjects. And today we are going to speak with you about CLIL, about integrating English with other subjects. So the plan of our webinar is the following. CLIL, why, and multiplicity of terms. There are a lot of different terms, not only CLIL. Terms connected with integration. We are going to speak about Bloom's taxonomy. I'm sure you probably know about Bloom's taxonomy already, but we are going to get a little bit deeper and speak about useful verbs for integrated lessons, because we teach English and other subjects not only by the thing that we are teaching, not only by the topic, but also by vocabulary, with the help of vocabulary that we use at the lesson. And this vocabulary can also be very meaningful for integrated lessons as well. We are going to speak with you about this dilemma, how to meet national standards on the one hand, and how to integrate English with other subjects, and where to look for these integration opportunities on the other hand. I will give you some examples of lessons of English using STEM or STEAM technology as a form of integration. And we are going to speak about some examples from my own experience and experience of other colleagues that I worked with, how to integrate English and other subjects. I will tell you in details about the model of the lesson that I frequently use for integrated and CLIL lessons. And this model of the lessons is called stations rotation, and I find it probably the best for such kind of lessons, for integrated lessons and for CLIL lessons, because these lessons are quite peculiar. At integrated lessons, at CLIL lessons, you teach not only English, but other subjects too. And you need to give your students like double load. And you don't have the double time of the lesson. The time is limited. So how to meet these requirements? How to fit two lessons into the subject of two lessons into one lesson time period? So stations rotation is the answer for this question. And I will give you at the end of the webinar some tips and the ideas for further reading, where to find some further information on the topic of CLIL, how to teach language through content. So, first of all, I have got a question. Why do we teach a foreign language? Well, probably several years ago, the answer to this question would be, we teach English only to learn to read, to know grammar, and to teach our students to translate. So that would be the traditional old school classroom. But in our modern class, you know that the modern learning environment, the innovative learning environment is flexible. And we teach our students in a flexible learning environment. We try to focus on real-life communication, and also we try to prepare our students for the real life. And you know that in real life, they probably will need English, like 99.9%, they will need English for their future job, no matter what job they choose. They don't have to be the teachers of English or the interpreters to use English in the future job. Probably they will work in some companies connected with some foreign countries, and they will have to meet their colleagues online, in Zoom, for example, or conduct some kind of meetings online, and they will have to decide the problems of the company together. And it may be some kind of financial company, or it may be, or they may be in the military, in the army, or police officers. They will still need English to communicate with their peers from different countries. They may be the engineers and scientists, and they will have to work together with other engineers and scientists from other countries. And they, if they want to be modern, if they want to be innovative, if they want to be really successful people of the 21st century, they will have to read scientific papers of other scientists written in English. So that is why we teach them CLIL lessons. That is why we teach not only English as the language, but English as the language of communication, as the medium of communication, and prepare them to be flexible. Because you know that in the modern world, scientists say that a person of the 21st century should have such a skill as flexibility, because we are used to the fact that we have one job for practically all our life. But for our children, it will be different. They will have to be prepared to change their jobs frequently, because in the modern world, there is a requirement to be flexible, to be ready to change the job. And knowing a foreign language and thinking about your job in a foreign language is a really cool thing. It's a must for a successful person nowadays. So there are a lot of terms which describe the concept of teaching English through medium, through some content. It can be, you can find such terms in the methodological books, foreign methodology. CBI, content-based instruction, is probably the oldest term. It appeared earlier than others. Then CBLT, content-based language teaching. CLIL, which is probably the most famous, content and language integrated learning. EMI, English medium instruction, when we use the language to teach about some other subject. And language immersion, when we immerse our students not only in the subject of the lesson, it may be mathematics or biology or chemistry or whatever, but also in language. And it happens like two parallel immersions in the subject and in the language. So we are mostly going to talk with you about CLIL, but I think that most of these terms are connected, because you can see that there is one common word here everywhere: content. When we use the content, which tells us about other subjects, biology, chemistry, mathematics, literature, music, whatever, to teach English. And we, the teachers of English, are really lucky here, because you know that our topics, our themes in our program, they are connected practically with every subject, every other subject taught at school. So CLIL lessons can be applied very easily. The only thing is to find these points in our program where we can link English with other subjects, and do it not only on the paper, but do it in real life. Of course, in order to be able to communicate on the other topic, speaking about chemistry, biology, physics, art, science, mathematics, First of all, and most important, we need to teach our students to read, to write, to speak, and to listen. So these 4 basic skills of learning a foreign language. First of all, we pay attention to this. After we have taught our students to read, to write, to speak, and to listen, we can get to the 4C, critical thinking, collaboration, cooperation, and creativity, because these skills are really important for modern people, for the people of the 21st century. And only when we combine these 2 things, teaching 4 language skills and teaching 4 C's, we will have the successful language learner as the result of our efforts. Probably you have already met in the methodology and online the notion of Bloom's taxonomy. And it explains us clearly different types of activities and tasks that we ask our students to do or that we offer our students at the lesson. And you can see that they will probably remember the material better when you offer them such kind of activities as analyze the content that you are learning, evaluate something, like justify a stand or a decision. You may argue, you may defend your point of view, you may judge, select, support, value. So this is really important to give them the floor. Also, you can give them such tasks or such activities that will make them create something, produce something new or original work, like design something, assemble something. And you may wonder, so how can you design something at the lesson of English? Easily, pretty easily. Of course, some time is needed for this. And not only writing some exercises, vocabulary or grammar exercises should be done at the lesson of English, but also some time should be spent on doing some creative kind of activities. You can create whatever, posters, magazines, student magazines, videos, using the language, but also using the creativity. And only when you use the top of the pyramid activities will your students remember material in the best possible way. There is the list of verbs for integrated lessons, which can help us as teachers integrate content of learning English and learning other languages, other subjects, mostly such subjects as science. Because in science, we apply something. We try to analyze different concepts and theorems and ideas and try to understand them. And you can see that this is the language that you as a teacher can use at the CLIL lesson when you try to combine English and other subjects. You can ask your students to name something, to list something, to relate something to something, yes? If you want to see that your students understand the material or understand the concept of the other language which is integrated with the other subject which is integrated with English, you can ask them to predict something, to outline, to discuss, to restate something, sometimes to translate as well, yes, and to compare, of course. If you want to ask them to apply their knowledge practically, it would be great to ask them to solve the problem, to show you something, to illustrate, to examine, to use, to classify, analyze. You may ask them to compare or contrast different ideas. This is very scientific. And at the lesson of English, if you ask them to compare some ideas or some things and to contrast them, they will have to use all the language they know, but also they will have to think scientifically. And this is clear also. You ask them to investigate. And if you want them to investigate something, you can offer them to use the online material, for example. use the internet and investigate this problem connected with like chemistry or physics or whatever. And also they will have to show their knowledge of digital literacy, and they will have to show you their knowledge of English as well. To categorize, to explain, to identify. If you want them to evaluate some ideas that the other subject presents, you ask them in English to choose, to decide, to recommend, to assess, for example, to justify, prove your point of view. Why do you think so? Rate, prioritize. And it's really difficult to prioritize. We have tried it with our students. And if they have several concepts and they should like give some points to each of these concepts, and they have only 10 points and they have to distribute them among 5 concepts, prioritize. They have to use not only all their knowledge of English, but also logical thinking, critical thinking, and that is really great. Because you understand that you develop not only their language skills, but you develop them as thinking individuals. And of course, the top skill, create. Create, invent, compose, construct, design, imagine. If you use as a teacher these kind of words, verbs, blooming verbs at the lesson, you also teach your students to use these words, because they will see you as a role model, and they will know that these verbs are like high order verbs, and they are really cool, and they are really meaningful, and they develop 21st century skills in individuals. If you have a look at our documents connected with the learning of English, I will switch into Ukrainian here, and I will just tell you that мета базової середньої освіти – це не лише ми говоримо про англійську мову, а взагалі в цілому про базову середню освіту, формування світоглядних орієнтирів, екологічного стилю мислення і поведінки, дослідницьких і життєзабезпечувальних навичок. So you can see that English can be connected with the worldwide view of the global world, globalization, then ecology. And if we teach at the lesson of English about ecology, this will be also clear. And like investigation skills, the scientific skills, and it connects English with sciences, yes. And also our school leaver should understand how the world is built. And you know, as grown-ups, that in our world, in real world, very seldom you will find separate subjects like physics, biology, and other stuff, and English and whatever. In most cases, you will have to use your knowledge of different subjects and from different spheres if you want to solve real-life problems. So you will have to integrate all your knowledge. And if we show our students from their school years at the lessons that we can integrate different subjects, and that all subjects can work together in order to solve real-world problems, then they will be better prepared for real life. If you look at the competencies which we have to develop at the lesson of English, you will find that we also have to develop mathematical competencies. Competencies in ecology and the healthy way of life. Competencies in sciences and technology. Competency in using informational and digital technology. And it gives us the possibility to connect English with all these subjects that develop these competencies. What I usually advise teachers to do if they want to use CLIL at the lessons, I advise them first of all to look at the program. If you look at the program and look at the topics that we have to cover, you can find very easily the subjects that are connected with English, and you can see these links where CLIL grows from. So, for example, I have chosen only several examples. If you have a look at the program for the 5th year of studying English, there is a topic, food, yes? And you can connect it with such a subject as healthy way of life. At this lesson, the students usually learn this Harvard plate, which products are good for you, how to choose which products to eat and which products give you calories, how to calculate calories. Why not include it into the lesson of English? You are learning names of different products with them, names of different kinds of food, fruit and vegetables. Why not join with the teacher of healthy way of life and prepare some joint activities? Or you can ask your teacher, your teacher of healthy way of life at school, what exactly they are learning with their students, and provide similar activities, but in English. In this way, they will recycle, the students will recycle their knowledge, and they will use their knowledge from that subject at the lesson of English, and you will prepare them for the real life, teaching how to be healthy, how to eat healthy food and be healthy people. Another subject in the 5th form is nature, and we study different types of weather and natural phenomena. Very easily you can connect it with the lesson of nature studies. And we have done several subjects like this, and they were really, really amazing. They were a blast, and I will give you some examples in my presentation today. Also, you can connect your lessons of English with such lessons as economics, mathematics. If you have a look at the program for the 6th form, in our program we have got such a topic as shopping. Why not connect the topic of shopping with the themes and topics that the students study at the lessons of economics, if you have such a subject at your school. If you don't have economics, you can connect it with mathematics, and that would be really great. Children learn to multiply, to divide, to add, to subtract at the lessons of mathematics. You can take as content of the lesson of English some problems and sums from the textbook of mathematics and translate them into English. You can translate them together with the students, or you can translate them yourself and ask your students to read and to do the sum. They will recognize easily the problem or the sum from their textbook of mathematics, and it will be fun for them to connect English and math. Apart from them, in my school we have done some really cool projects connecting English and math, and I will also show you the examples later in my presentation. As your students grow older, they start learning such subjects as chemistry, for example, or technology. For example, if you take our program of English in the 7th form, there is a topic food, the same as in the 5th form, but it is a little bit more peculiar. You can speak about cooking food, and when you speak about cooking, you can speak about chemistry, because chemistry is about changing different states of matter, and you can take a cool text from chemistry, how, for example, different products change when you heat them or when you cool them down, and while teaching cooking, you can teach also chemistry. And you can cooperate with your teacher of chemistry, and that would be really exciting. You can connect learning English even with such subjects as physical training or media literacy or digital literacy or geography, biology, natural studies, so practically every other subject. What you need is to choose the text carefully and to present the vocabulary, of course, because when you conduct clear lessons, your students will need some peculiar vocabulary, not only the topical vocabulary connected with the topic of studying, but also peculiar vocabulary connected with some peculiar subjects. You can use the verbs which I presented at the beginning of our webinar today, the Bloom taxonomy verbs, which might help you. When I started teaching using a STEAM approach, I understood that this approach works really great if I want to connect my subject, English, with the other subjects in my school, especially with sciences and technology and engineering and mathematics. If you are familiar with the term STEM, you probably know that this is an acronym and it can be deciphered like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This is the basic term. You can use the term STEAM, where art is also included, where A stands for art. And you can use the term STREAM, where R stands for reading and writing, in such a way making this term probably the broadest of all of them, because it includes sciences, technology, language arts, reading, writing, engineering, art, and mathematics. So practically all possible subjects which we teach at school. You may ask me how to use a STEM approach and how can science be connected to humanities, to the lesson of English, for example. Several years ago, when I was present at the CUDBA Teachers Forum, I was there at the master class by a great person. She is not an educator, she is an artist, and her name is Drew Kataoka, but she is a really cool, innovative artist who uses technology in modern art. So she combines technology and art, and she uses STEAM approach. So she presented the rule of 10%. And since that time, I have been using this rule of 10% at my lessons, and my other colleagues also use this rule, and we have come to the conclusion that this is the golden rule for inclusion. If you want to include different kinds of subjects, if you want to mix humanities and sciences, this is probably the best rule that you can use. So it works like this. If you are a teacher of sciences, you need to find 10%, at least 10% in every topic that you are teaching that you can dedicate to humanities, or that you can connect with humanities. At the same time, if you are a teacher of humanities or language arts, as we are, for example, you should find at least 10% of the material during your teaching period that you can connect with sciences. So 10% of your time at the lessons while teaching different topics that you can connect with sciences. It can be just one single question at the lesson that will trigger this scientific thought in your students, and that they will have to think scientifically but use English as the medium of communication to answer your question. And that would be really cool. So if you use this rule of 10%, you connect different subjects together. You connect the languages and the sciences, for example, and the arts. And this is really cool because it is natural, because it shows students that everything in this world is interconnected. There are a lot of platforms in the internet which offer such projects where you can use English and different other subjects. And when you connect English and other subjects through these projects, this is typical CLIL, and you improve your students' language skills, reading, writing, listening, as well as their skills in other subjects. For example, there is a platform called Penpal Schools, which has been renamed recently into Go Pangea Project. And at the end of May, the organizers of this platform are going to launch this new wonderful website where they have collected, they offer different projects for the students. And if you have a look at the screenshot from their platform, you will see those really cool topics of the projects. Explorers and adventurers, where you teach not only English, but also you teach about the world. Joining forces for the environment, where you not only improve the topical vocabulary about the environment, but you also develop environmental thinking. And if you recollect the beginning of our webinar, that is exactly one of the targets of our new Ukrainian school. What kind of person we are going to prepare at the end of school? The person who has got environmental thinking, who cares about the environment. There are such projects as a world of geometry, for example, where you connect English with geometry. And we have tried this project, and it's really cool. And I will give you the example and tell you in details. There are projects about the solar system, poetry, where you can link English and the world literature, talking about famous poets, yes. You can speak about a world of music, where you connect English, study musical instruments, the names of musical instruments, and such a subject as music. So as you can see, practically any kind of subject can be connected with English. Plant and animal adaptation. Learn some English, cool vocabulary, use English while talking about biology, about plant and animal adaptation. So remember, please go Pangea projects. You may Google it, and it offers you already really rich resource filled with different texts, audio, video, vocabulary that is already done for you, and you can use it, you can develop it as you wish. Here is an example. We have chosen with our students one of the topics from the Penpal School's website, and after reading the text, after listening to the text and watching the video, they are asked the question, and they have to answer the question, and they get engaged into the dialogue with their peers from different countries. So in our case, we were studying immigration. The topic was about immigration, immigrants from around the world, and our students were writing messages to the students from the United States, and they were using English. But the general topic was not only connected with English, the topic of immigration, it was connected with social studies. So it provided authentic writing, reading, speaking skills, real-life communication, and integration with other subjects too, because we spoke about the laws, we spoke about the laws for immigrants in different countries, so they had to use their knowledge of different laws, legislation too, and in senior classes, a lot of schools do have citizenship lessons and the lessons of law as well, so you can practice this type of connection too. A very good example, one of my favorite examples, is the project which connects English and mathematics. In the 8th form, we tried to connect our students with the students from Turkey through the Eratosthenes experiment. This project is carried out annually, so it is repeated every year, and the goal of the project is the following. The project finds you a partner school in the other part of the world, and at the day, there is the day during the year where the sun stands high and when the day is equal to the night. During the day, at midday, you have to use the pole, which is 1 meter tall, and you just place it vertically to the ground and measure the distance of the shadow, the length of the shadow, And that was the experiment that the famous Eratosthenes did many thousands of years ago. And with the help of this Eratosthenes experiment, he measured the radius of the Earth. And the students on the other side of the world, in the other country, performed the similar experiment. And your measurements should be the same, because the radius of the Earth is the state. Yes, it cannot be different. So your the result of your experiment, when you compare it with the result of the experiment of your partner school from the other country, they should be practically similar. Here, you can connect several subjects in this experiment. So first of all, of course, it is mathematics, because you have to know how to do all these measurements, how to calculate. Secondly, so you have to know about such mathematical or geometrical notions as radius, angle, sphere, and so on. Secondly, you have to know about history, because you Google about Eratosthenes, who he was, where he lived, why was he interested in this question, why did he decide to measure the radius of the Earth, and also you use English, of course, to communicate with your partner school. In our case, it was a school from Turkey. And if you have a look at the picture from the Turkish school, the picture which they provided us, you see that their culture is very different from ours. And it was really interesting for us to talk not only about the results of our experiment and compare the results of our experiments, but also to discuss the differences in culture and similarities also, because no matter how different we are still very similar. So the students, when they communicated online with their peers from different countries, they also spoke about culture. So you learn about the culture of the world. Also, the results of your experiment, you have to download, you have to upload on the website, and you have to upload a photograph which will show creatively the concept of Eratosthenes doing these measurements. As you can see in the photograph, my students were dressed like ancient Greeks, and they were trying to use their creativity too. So they combined mathematics with creativity. So lots of ideas how to join different things. And of course, CLIL, because we learn English through the other contexts, through mathematics, for example, through history. And it's really cool. It's really great. You can Google Eratosthenes experiment website, and you can join this competition or this project, international project, in September. Because in September, there will be another round of this project. Another example for you. How English can be combined with biology, and how you can use the text from the biology textbook, the text about Jane Goodall, a famous primatologist, to teach English and to develop skills about biology and environmental protection. So when we speak in this case about English, the topic is environment, the topic is animals, and the topic is life on Earth. When we take biology, the topic is environment, of course, and primates, because Jane Goodall is a famous primatologist who studied chimpanzees all her life. So we cooperated here with the teacher of biology, and we did a double lesson. We had 2 lessons. At the first lesson, we read the text in English about Jane Goodall and her studies, and the text in Ukrainian from their biology textbooks about the environment and primates. Then we combined the knowledge that we got from both of these texts, and we went on a virtual field trip with the help of virtual glasses to the Gombe National Park in Tanzania, where Jane Goodall worked all her life. And we saw the park and we learned more about her studies. We explored her base camp, the camp from which she studied chimpanzees in Tanzania. And during the second lesson, next day, we had a Skype lesson with, it was a live Skype lesson with Jane Goodall, where children used English to ask Jane Goodall questions about her biological studies, about her studies connected with environment, with primates. So you can see that they were speaking about biology, but they used English as a medium of communication. So that is also clear, and it shows you how they can use English not only to learn, read, write, translate, but to communicate about other subjects which are interesting for them. Usually when I use CLIL lessons, I use such model as stations rotation, because when you teach CLIL lessons, you need more time because, well, you have 45 minutes of your regular lesson, but in these 45 minutes, you have to squeeze English and other subjects. So these lessons are very peculiar. They are very intense, and you have to choose the model which will allow you to organize all the students and to make them active, mobile, and to use both English where you study the subject, English as reading, writing, new vocabulary, and the other subject like chemistry or mathematics or whatever. So for me, stations rotation is the best model here. Let me explain you how it works. You offer your students different activities at different stations in the classroom, and your students are connected into groups, mini groups, and each group has got a worksheet, and they have to move from one station to another station to complete the tasks on their worksheet. Some tasks are connected purely, for example, with English. Other tasks would be connected with the other subject that you are using it in the CLIL at the CLIL lesson. Some activities can be connected with their textbooks or exercise books. Other activities can be connected with digital technology like VR headsets or tablets or computers, or using different technology to do some experiments, for example, if you connect English with sciences. If you do this model, you give your students, let's say, 10 minutes at each station. It depends on how many stations you have. And you tell them that timing is very important, and that setting the roles in the mini group is very important too, because when everybody is doing his or her job, then they do it effectively, and then they do it quickly. And you as a teacher just give the signal to your students when to change the stations. So they move from station to station, do the tasks, and at the end of the lesson, the whole class comes together again, and you discuss the results at the worksheet. You discuss all the answers to the questions from the worksheet. So you conduct kind of a summary. Also, you can rotate language instructions. Here, some of these stations can be in English and some can be in Ukrainian if you want to combine with another teacher of other subject. And if you are afraid that some of vocabulary from the other subject may be too difficult, so your students may know some of the vocabulary, but some of it, some other words may be too difficult for them, scientific terms. So you can use both English and Ukrainian, and that is also okay, and that is fine, and that adds some dynamics to the lesson, makes your lesson more interesting. One of the latest examples is combining English and the lesson of nature or science in the fifth form. In the fifth form, kids study at the lesson of the natural world, planets and the solar system. And in our English text, we also had in our English textbook, we had the text about the usual day, the routine of the astronauts at the ISS, International Space Station. And we decided that it would be a really cool, clear lesson where we can combine students' knowledge of English, present simple for routine, for example, because we were talking about the routine of astronauts at the station, what they do every day and what they do usually and how they do it. And combine it with the knowledge of the science about solar system, which they study at their lesson of science. We worked together. There were two teachers, a teacher of English, that was me, and a teacher of the science in the fifth form, my colleague, Miss Ina. And that was really cool because we used not only the text, which the students read and answered the questions and true, false, and put the verbs in the correct form, practicing present simple, but we also used the 3D animations from Mozaweb, where they learned about planets, where they actually not learned but showed their knowledge of different planets and solar system. We used also the VR headset, where we traveled inside the International Space Station. There is a really cool virtual field trip on board the International Space Station, and you can offer your students this field trip. So it's like they are astronauts on board of the station, and they can see the station inside. They can virtually move around and touch different objects, and that is really cool. So again, they can comment in English and practice the active vocabulary and grammar, present simple. And the final stage was using this really cool application from NASA, where you can take a selfie and then it places you automatically it uses this filter which looks like you are an astronaut in open space. And it was really amazing. I really enjoyed it, my colleague too, and what is most important, students enjoyed it, and they used English and they used their knowledge of science about planets. And another example where English was combined with geography in the sixth form, and we were speaking about different parts of the world. We were speaking about countries, English-speaking countries. So here came our teacher of geography, who also provided us with the information that they learned at the lessons of geography, and we combined it with our lessons of English. So we not only spoke about English-speaking countries, and kids told us what they know about English-speaking countries. They located those countries at the map. They used 3D animations to show different continents and to name them in English, though they studied them in Ukrainian too at the lessons of geography. We also used an experiment. We used a needle and a magnet to make our own compass. Because when you rub a needle at the magnet, it becomes actually the needle of the compass. And if you place this needle on a piece of cork in water, it automatically will line up like the arrow of the compass. We used the regular compass and compared. So you see the vocabulary about which I spoke at the beginning of my webinar. So compare and justify. So we compared the real compass where the arrow was pointing and the needle rubbed at the magnet where it was pointing, and they were, as you can see in the picture, they were pointing in the same direction. So we proved, justified, used English to prove and to justify that you can do the compass yourself. You can use your own hands and some everyday objects which you have at home to make your own compass. And this is not only clear, this is also STEM, because you teach science using English and you also make something with your own hands at the lesson, and you comment everything in English, and it's really, really amazing. You show your students that if they get lost in one of the English-speaking countries which they learned about, if they don't have a compass, for example, somewhere in the USA, but they have a needle and a piece of cork, they can make a compass and they can find their way out. Well, in general, this is science and English, and this is fun, and this is life. And that was really cool. I've got some tips for you to sum up everything that we were speaking about. The first tip is you need to analyze your plans and your national standards at the beginning of the school year if you want to use integrated learning and CLIL. So analyze your plans and analyze your standards and see which topics can be connected with other subjects. Underline them and go and communicate with the teachers of those subjects. Biology, chemistry, geography, physical education, ICT, whatever. You can find practically everything in our program of English. The second tip is mind recycling of things. The teacher of biology might have already presented this topic which you are interested in a little bit earlier in the year, or maybe he presented it even last year. If you are teaching, for example, the students of the 8th form about environment, and they spoke in biology about environment in the 7th form, for example. It's okay, just communicate with the teacher. Ask him what your students already know, or what knowledge you can rely on. So that will be a springboard for your CLIL activities. Or if the teacher is, the other teacher is interested, the teacher of the other subject, think about the joint lesson, the combined lesson, where you can teach together. In Ukrainian, that would be binarny урок, so where there are two teachers and they are teaching at the same time, at the same lesson. So go for it, that would be really cool. Or teach yourself, the only teacher, but using the material that they have already covered. So recycling of things. Communicate with colleagues. That is probably the most, this should have been number one, probably the most important advice, because when you communicate with your colleagues, when you ask them for their knowledge and provide them with your ideas, exchange ideas, just give them a hand and they will give you a hand. That is probably the best. Because we don't know the program, we as teachers of English, we don't know the program of teachers of biology, chemistry, mathematics. We don't know what they are learning in different subjects, in different classes. So that is why communication is the key here. And we don't have time to study their programs. We don't need to do this. You just say what you need and they will tell you what they have and in what classes. Be flexible. Ask your other teacher friends to be flexible, and be flexible yourself. If you are thinking about a combined lesson where there will be two teachers, think that both of you will have to keep the timing, and both of you will have to will need to have some time and some activities. So respect each other and be flexible here. Mind the timing, because 45 minutes and double load on your students, double information from English and from the point of view of the other subject. So everything is double, so mind your timing. Activities should be very short, explanation of activities should be very precise, and you should, at every point of the lesson, you should tell your students how much time they have to do this or that activity. If you keep the timing, everything will be perfect. Because if your CLIL lesson does not have a summary at the end, then everything is mixed up and it doesn't work right. You need to leave some time for the summary. Set clear goals. And at the beginning of the lesson, both you need to know what you want to achieve with the help of this lesson, and your students need to know why they are mixing English and geometry and geography, for example. Why they are mixing English and biology? Why? Because tomorrow you will have a Skype lesson with Jane Goodall and you need to ask her questions in English because she speaks English. So if you tell them why, then everything will be clear. Then cooperative planning. Remember that if you have a 45-minute lesson and you want to plan it with your partner teacher, then you have only 20 minutes, because 20 minutes for you, 20 minutes for the other teacher, and 5 minutes at the end to sum everything up, roughly, yes? Clear instructions, minimum words, use vocabulary, blooming vocabulary from the beginning of our webinar today. And using this vocabulary, provide your students with great instructions and develop their scientific thinking. Don't be afraid to try something new. Clear lessons may not always turn out as you expect them. You may be short of time, your instructions may not be really clear, but if you do not try, you never learn. And if you try, then you will be really, really pleased with the results. Because with trying more and more, you will become better and better. And at the end, you and your students will enjoy it and double load, but double result. Because they will know not only English, but other subject too. And they will become critical thinkers. And that is really cool. And have fun with students, because CLIL is about real life and science and mathematics and everything, and it is really fun. It is really cool. Think about some cool activities like needle on a piece of cork in water, and don't be afraid to make some mess. Just make something wet, paint something, do some experiments, whatever. You may think that they are not connected with English, but they are. If you ask your students to explain what they are doing in English, to justify the results of the experiment in English. So that is cool. So have some fun. Learning should be fun. And for your further reading, I advise you to go to the British Council Teaching English. They have got a wonderful, really good article there called CLIL, a lesson framework. And they explain very clearly what CLIL is and how to teach English using the content from other subjects. So this is for your further reading and development. And I would like to thank you really for your attention. And now I would like to see if we have any questions. So the questions in our chat, so what questions were we asking? So I can see that just some of you were asking about the timing. So if the 10% rule can work at every lesson, I would probably say not at every lesson, but at every theme that you are learning. So for example, if the theme of the unit, of the whole unit that you are covering, the topic that you are covering is, for example, sport and healthy way of life, in the whole theme, you can use this 10% rule and connect some of your lessons with physical training, or with, you can do some physical activities at the lesson when we have to relax a little bit, yes, with kids in the middle of the lesson. You can connect with the teacher of health studies and speak about just sitting straight, and especially while doing like online learning, yes, and how to take care of your posture, of your eyes, how to do some physical activities, so how to eat healthy food, because this is all about health. So not probably at every lesson, but probably at every topic, I should say. That was the question from Miss Ludmila Pavluk. I can't see any other questions, dear colleagues. I hope that everything was clear. And I see your comments that you are saying that it was useful and informative. I am really glad. And I would also like to tell you that you can find more examples of CLIL lessons on my Facebook page, because I usually post some photos and description of clear lessons and integrated lessons in Ukrainian mostly, because I want not only the teachers of English to see how lessons can be integrated, but the teachers of other subjects as well. So thank you for your attention, and hope to see you at our other webinars on the educational platform Na Urok. So have a great evening, and thank you for being with me today. Goodbye.